Guys, after 3 years away from the octagon, Jon Jones is back at UFC 285 and he's got a title shot against Ciryl Gane. And you can get in on all the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC and today's show sponsor. If you're a new customer, DraftKings has a winning offer just for you. Sign up for DraftKings using my promo code Sonnen. Put at least $5 on a pre-fight moneyline wager on any fighter, and you will receive an additional $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Want even more action? Combine multiple bets, like which fighter will win, how long the fight will last, and more in a parlay to give you a shot at even bigger winnings. If mobile sports betting is not yet available in your state, DraftKings Daily Fantasy is giving all MMA fans a chance to cash out this weekend. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. New customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code Sonnen. Bet $5 on a pre-fight moneyline wager on any fighter, and you will receive an additional $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Or just click on the link below. All right, we got a Chubby Jon Jones. What do you make of it? Now, what do you make of it, but what did you expect? And that's a little bit of an interesting question because I was expecting a shredded Jon Jones that would speak to the vanity of Jon Jones. And I would come out and I would talk to you guys about this as though that was negative while keeping my own secret inside, which is, if I was to put myself in Jon's shoes, which is the most golden rule of life, I would definitely want to look good when I took my shirt off at my new weight class. So, predicting that Jon Jones was going to look pretty shredded, he was going to look like Stipe on his way to looking like Francis, something along these lines, more than he looks like his brothers Arthur and Chandler, that would have been a reasonable guess. Because it's what I would have wanted to do. And I can just tell you, it is nearly impossible to just put on muscle unless you use an anabolic steroid. Now, I've made this case before and I had two people push back. Two people who I think are friends of mine pushed back. They said that's not true. Coach Greg and Derek, more plates, more days, both said a man over the age of 30 who wants to put on 30 pounds of muscle can do it without an anabolic agent if he trains correctly. And I pushed back and said, you've never seen one. I realize the science. I don't know why guys in the expert, I don't know why guys in physiology continue to tell about unicorns that they've never seen, but they do cling to the idea that it can be done. And I pushed back a step further of reality and just said, show me one, just one. You've been at this your whole life, and it doesn't have to be a guy that you took and you trained. It can be a guy that you observed. It could be somebody else took him and somebody else trained him. You just happened to see it. And you show me a guy that put on 30 pounds of solid muscle. Not he put on the muscle after he put on the fat, then he went through a lean phase and he took the fat off. He put on solid muscle, and this is what I have claimed. Now, I would take it either way when you're 35 and over, whether it was solid 30 pounds of muscle or it was muscle and fat, and then you got rid of the fat, and there you have with the muscles. And you might think that you're splitting hairs there. I'm just sharing for you. It's a very difficult thing to do unless you're using an anabolic, because ultimately when you're dealing with weight, it is calories in to calories out. And you'll meet the real jerks there that want to talk to you about macros, and they want to talk to you about a carb. But they're going to tell you about a super carb from a broken down carb. They're going to tell you about the great carbs of a sweet potato versus the terrible carbs of cane sugar, right? It's going to be one of these annoying and redundant conversations that you hear repeatedly. But when Jon Jones was going through it, a guy that we know is not against using steroids, and the coach that he brings in and tells the world is full of steroids, you at least reasonably are going to wonder. That's all, not an accusation. You're reasonably going to wonder. And Jon did a very good job of keeping this from us. And just recently, Jon came out. And by recently, I mean a week ago. A week ago, Jon came out and he talked about the steroid head coach that got on a plane and flew out there with him. And he told him what the steroid head coach Secret was. And the secret was to eat. That you eat, and when you're done, you eat some more. What that's it. Boom. If you want to gain weight, that's it. Now, that's not all going to be lean weight. You cannot just gain muscle. No matter how many magazines tell you can, no matter how many shelves you walk through at GNC that promises you it's going to be just like muscle and you're just going to look like this guy, Paul Orndorff. That's just physiology. It's not the way that it happens. So as Jon gets closer to the reveal, and Jon told us I need to be 240 pounds or I'm not going to do this. Jon came out on Instagram well over a year ago at 242 pounds. Now, he didn't show himself on the scale. He just posted the picture through his Instagram, and he showed the number of somebody on a scale. So we assumed that it was Jon. But when the fight finally got signed, Jon said, I'm not going to tell you what I weigh. Because I'm not going to tell my opponent what I weigh. I'm going to let that be a surprise for my opponent at the weigh-in. I thought that was great. That had me interested. I don't know Ciryl Gane well enough to know if that would be a head game. I can tell you if it was me as the opponent, I could not possibly care less. But I was unique in that regard. I fought for 6 world championships. I don't know of the 51 men I fought who was a southpaw and who wasn't. I was never told before the fight. I didn't know the difference in the fight, and I don't know now. That's weird. Actually, that's not a cool thing. That's a very weird and unique thing, but my eyes work differently. My depth perception works differently. I'm color. It just doesn't make a difference in my day. In Jon Jones's day, apparently it would matter. Right? All you can do is look at yourself and judge how would I deal with the situation. So Jon, not knowing if a guy was going to come in at 240, come in at 225, or come in at 267, that would really mess with his mind. So he decided that he was going to do that to Ciryl Gane. I liked it. Now, here we are on the eve of the weigh-in, and there's a report out that Jon weighs 267 pounds. We have not seen Jon's weight. We have not seen him on the scale. 267 would surprise me. Just the dedication and hard work that it would take to get there surprises me. I don't know that it's possessed within Jon Jones. So if he did get to 267, I'm not giving him a hard time right now. If he got to 260, I'm preemptively giving him praise. But I'm also telling you I don't think so. I think he's going to be closer to 240. I will tell you my initial impression when Jon Jones told the world, I'm out, take my belt back. Don't pay me any money. Managers release me. Anybody I'm doing business with, cut me because we got no business that's going to be done. Sponsors, thank you, F you, and goodbye. When Jon Jones did that, all to try to gain weight, said he was trying to get to 240. And at the time that he said it, he weighed about 225. A clean Jon Jones, without the picograms, is only about 218 in training. And in training Jon Jones. And out of training Jon Jones, 224. And a Jon Jones out of training with the picograms, about 228. So these are the numbers that I have inside information of. And I know of that 228, he wants to get to 240. We're talking about 12 pounds. But to get there the right way is going to be a colossal amount of work. To get there and surpass it all the way up to 267, I would be stunned. But if he did, then I will preemptively give him his praise. That dedication and that commitment and why he chose that number. And then you are going to have the final question, which is, where is the cardio? There's nothing in life that isn't a trade, right? But there's nothing in sport that more obviously you're making a trade between strength and cardio. If you can bench press 500 pounds, you cannot run a 5-minute mile, and you won't get anybody to prove that wrong. Nobody will say, well, Chael, I'm actually the one person. Here's my 500 pounds. Here's my 5-minute mile. It's a trade. For that strength, you needed some size, and with that size, it slowed you down and hurt your cardio. Stop that mile time. Perfect example. So if Jon did weigh close to 267, if he really did, what would we expect from the match? The coaches that have worked with him have all talked about the incredible increase in power. Now again, all comparative, right? How hard do I hit? Is it harder than you How hard does he hit? Is it harder than him? It's all comparative. I would suspect a mitt coach that's used to catching for Jon that weighed 228 is going to feel a little more zing on that mitt for a Jon that weighs 240. I would suspect that. That would make perfect reason to me. And the same would go for the Jon that weighs 267. So I've never been clear from those coaches. Is he getting to that mitt as fast? Are those combinations just as fast, or are they only more powerful? And moreover, if you're doing mitts for 15 or 20-minute sessions, is he still doing 15 or 20-minute sessions, or is he stopping at 7 to 9 minutes? I don't have those answers. He's a special guy. That's a abnormally large amount of weight gain. When you understand that weight gain is about calories in to calories out, if we stop training full bore, if we stop the morning runs, if we stop trying to get up that hill, if we stop trying to come up that rope, if we stop something, if we can shut our body down from burning as much energy while we're gorging, we can gain weight. But it's just the reality of why it's a trade. It's quite literally a trade. If you want to be big and have size, you're not going to have that endurance, and it's something that Jon has always counted on. I don't know that I buy the rumor of 267. I think that 240 was a very good goal. And when Jon came out and refused to tell us the weight, I never once thought, well, he's gone above it. My thought was he fell short of his goal. He got to 240, he signed the contract, his coaches stepped in, they upped the training. The upping of the training burned more calories than he wanted to, dropped the overall weight. So if I was to guess, in the face of the rumor that Jon is going to weigh in tomorrow morning between 9 and 11 a.m. at 267 pounds, no. And if I was to guess, is he going to be right around 240? Yes. Will he be north of 240 or south of 240? If we just put that as the bar, I personally am going to take the under.